do you try to adjust yourself, adapt you as a leader, but then as your church, to be able to connect with that kind of community that's changing so rapidly?
Well, I think it's really with one word, and it's simplify. It's an issue now that we just got to simplify. We got to get back to what the scriptures teach, and that we're to love God and to love, our neighbors. And those are the two things that if we'll get back to that works in any context, and it works with any person from any background, anywhere. And we've got to be fluid in that, and also we've got to draw everything down to a simpler model, and really making sure that our community knows that we care about them, and we want to connect with them, and we're willing to do that in spite of or instead of keeping our own model maybe that we've had for the last 10 years or 20 years, or some, in some instances 50 years. And so it's an issue of just simplifying, just really cutting. It's not rocket science. If I can say anything to anybody when it comes to leadership and trying to get your church to the point of serving and connecting the community, it's really not rocket science. It's real simple. Hey, get to know your neighbors, know the needs in your neighborhood, and move on from there. And just love your neighbors as Christ commands us. So when it comes to the model, the simpler, more basically biblical the model can be, I think the more effective, and certainly the more far-reaching that model can be. So what I believe needs to take place in the church is that we strip our model down to the point where we are loving one another, we're loving God, we're loving one another, and our community knows that we want to serve them and that we want to connect with them, that it's not an us versus them, it's a we, and our model being, instead of this, us, 24 and no more mindset, it's this idea of saying, no, let's all come together. We're all neighbors in this. It goes back to the fact that we're all made in the image of God, and we're all created with this idea of community and connection. And whether people follow Christ or not, they're still made in God's image, and still communicate and want to relate. And so if we can strip it down to relationships and just creating a place where creating a space and a model that promotes people sitting across the table from each other, or sitting on a front porch together and beginning to do life with one another. That's the model. The model is us doing life as believers together in a community where we're drawing people to the table with us.
Well, you're using that term. I know I interrupted you. I wanted you to talk about methodology, but you're using that word in a sense differently than what I think a lot of people think. I think they may be confusing what you're describing as model with style. In other words, they have a certain worship style. They have a certain way. It's kind of you open with a hymn, a prayer, two hymns, a prayer. Have the offertory, preaching, invitation hymn. You're done.
Right.
And it's a certain style of music and all that kind of thing. But what you're describing is not as much stylistic. So let me probe a little bit more, then let's come back to the methodology.
Okay.
Probing on that idea. It sounds like to me what you're saying is that regardless of your style, as in your actual approach, necessarily the kind of music or any of those kind of things, those really aren't the most important thing. The most important thing is relationship with people in your community. So does style hurt? Does it all need to be changed to connect better? Or is that really low on the totem pole of priorities when a church is trying to reach its community?